The bullet in Levi's side was killing him, slow, inevitable, like the West Texas sun burning holes through his vision. He'd crawled 3 miles through mesquite and hell, leaving a blood trail any fool could follow. His former friends, no, his hunters, were 30 minutes behind with ropes and worse intentions. Then she appeared. A Comanche woman barely reaching his chest, cast out by her own people for being too small to matter. She should have walked past, should have let nature take its course. Instead, she dragged him into the shadows, her impossibly small hands keeping him alive when everyone else wanted him dead. He didn't know it yet, but she'd just saved the only man who'd ever prove she was worth more than her size. The September heat pressed down on the West Texas plains like iron. Elena, barely 4'9", pressed herself against the limestone outcrop, her shadow non-existent in the afternoon sun. At 23, she'd mastered the art of invisibility, silent when hunters returned, absent when women discussed which warriors would father strong children. Too small to carry water, too small to birth children who could survive winter. Her mother's words from 6 months ago still stung. The tribal council spoke with cold logic. Elena drained resources when the Comanche faced shrinking territories and encroaching whites. They gave her 3 days of pemmican, a water skin, and a dull knife. Now she survived in the canyons near the Brazos River, catching jackrabbits, gathering prickly pear, staying hidden from both her former people and settlers who saw only threats. She'd claimed a cave where ancient pictographs watched over her solitude. Labored breathing pulled her attention. Below, a man staggered through mesquite brush, hand pressed against a rust-brown bloodstain on his shirt. Tall, over 6 feet, with the build of a lifelong rider. He collapsed near a dried creek bed, 20 yards from her cave. Elena watched for an hour as sunset painted the sky crimson like his blood. He barely moved, each breath shallower than the last. She should stay hidden, should let nature decide, should remember men like him destroyed her people's way of life, but vulnerability recognized vulnerability. As darkness claimed the plains, she climbed down. Levi woke to firelight on stone and sharp herb scents. Pain radiated from where the bullet had torn through, a gift from men he'd called friends before refusing their plan to raid Comanche camps. His objection earned him a shooting and a 30-minute head start. Don't move. Stitches will tear. A woman knelt beside him, barely shoulder height even while he lay prone, young but weathered with high cheekbones and wary dark eyes. Her small hands were stained with his blood and crushed plants. "You're Comanche," he croaked, "and you're white." She offered water, supporting his head with surprising strength. "We both know what that means." "Means you should have let me die." "Probably. But I don't waste chances to practice medicine. Too small to hunt, too small to be a warrior, maybe the right size to heal." Bitterness edged her voice, familiar as his own when his father called him too soft for refusing to beat horses. Over 3 days, Elena tended his wound with clinical efficiency born of skill and desperate practice. Yarrow and sage poultices, willowbark tea, careful fire management to avoid detection. "Why were they shooting?" she asked on the 3rd evening. "I wouldn't help murder your people for sport. They didn't appreciate it." Silence stretched between them. "Your people killed my father 5 years ago, killed him for being in the way of land they wanted. I should hate you. But you don't. Hate is wasteful. So is death when it can be prevented." She touched his bandage clinically. "This is healing clean, but those men, they're still hunting. Until they find me. Then we have the same problem. We're both too different, too inconvenient. Too much trouble for what we're worth." Levi pushed up despite protesting stitches. "You're wrong about your worth." He gestured at his healing wound, her organized cave, the snares visible outside. "You've kept yourself alive alone. Kept me alive when you had every reason not to. That's not worthless. that strength most never find. Elena turned away, but not before something cracked in her armor. A week later, horses echoed across the plains. Elena froze at her snare lines, instincts screaming before identifying the source. She melted into brush with practiced invisibility. 5 riders. White men, heavily armed, searching in patterns. One shouted Levi's name. "Levi, you can't hide forever, traitor." The lead rider, thick-set, cruel-faced, looked like men she'd seen before, who killed for pleasure rather than necessity. Elena returned to find Levi gathering belongings, jaw set. "I'll lead them away from you." "Don't be stupid. They won't stop with you. They'll kill anything that helped you. I'm Comanche. I'm already dead if they find me." She gathered supplies. "There are deeper canyons 20 miles north, but I can't carry much and you're still healing. We'll be slow." You proved I was worth keeping alive. Now I prove you are too." They left at sunset, using shadows as cover. Levi's side ached, and Elena struggled with the pack. Without asking, he took it. "I can carry, I know, but right now I'm bigger. Let me use it for something good. You keep us invisible. I carry the weight." Elena studied him, then nodded. "Deal. But if you tear those stitches, I'm leaving you for coyotes." They traveled through darkness, Elena navigating with intimate land knowledge. Game trails for cover, dry creek beds masking tracks. By dawn, they'd made 15 miles. But 15 miles meant nothing against horses and determination. At their Cottonwood rest stop, distant riders approached. Closer, more organized. "They have a tracker," Elena whispered, "following your footprints." Levi's hand went to her father's old Colt. "Then this ends." She covered his hand with hers. "No, they're tracking you. Heavy footprints, broken branches, not me." Intelligence sparked in her eyes. "They expect prey to run straight. They don't expect what they can't see." The riders found Levi's abandoned pack and a trail leading deeper into the canyon. They followed with predator confidence. What they missed, Elena pressed flat in an 18-inch crevice no adult man could squeeze into. Levi submerged in water so shallow it wouldn't hide a child, barely deep enough for breathing through a hollow reed. Jack Thornton dismounted, studying ground. His wounds slowing him. Blood here. Can't be far. They followed the false trail Elena created using Levi's boots on her hands, dragging them to mimic his gait. The trail led to a narrow passage, a natural trap, seemingly. The passage had a second exit, requiring a body under 100 pounds. Elena had marked it weeks ago, never imagining she'd use it for someone else. As men entered the passage, Elena and Levi emerged from hiding and moved silently back toward the canyon entrance. Sometimes the best defense was being where enemies weren't looking. They reached the horses first. Elena moved between animals like a whisper, her small frame non-threatening. She'd grown up with horses, understood their language. She calmed them while Levi gathered supplies. "Can't take them, too easy to track, but we can scatter them." They opened hobbles, sent 4 horses running in different directions, keeping only an older mare with kind eyes. They walked rather than rode, minimizing tracks. By the time Thornton emerged, his pursuit became retrieval. They'd gained hours. That night, hidden in an arroyo with the mare grazing, Levi watched Elena check his wound by firelight. The stitches held. "You could have left me, taken the horse. Why didn't you?" Elena applied fresh paste before answering. "My tribe said I wasn't fit to bear children. Too small, daughters would be too small, would weaken the bloodline. They reduced everything I was to my size." She met his eyes. "Same thing your friends did, reduced you to one choice, one moment where you didn't fit their idea of what a man should be. So, we're both refugees." "Yes. Being small meant I could hide where others couldn't. Being rejected meant I learned skills others took for granted. Being alone taught me my own worth." She added wood to the fire. "Fit to bear children, Cowboy. That's what I said when fever made you delirious. I meant you're strong enough to protect, soft enough to care, smart enough to choose harder right over easier wrong. You're fit to build something worth protecting. Levi took her small hand in his larger one. Then we protect each other. You show me where to hide. I carry what's heavy. You teach me to see. I make sure nobody makes you feel small again. That's not equal. It's perfectly equal. We each give what we have. He squeezed gently. That's partnership. They reached deeper canyons, where sandstone walls created natural fortress and hidden springs provided year-round water. Late October now, first cool winds promising brutal winter within weeks. Can't stay hidden forever, Levi said, setting up camp in a south-facing cave. Eventually we'll need civilization. Winter will force them to abandon the search. No one hunts in ice storms. She arranged stones for a fire pit. In spring, we decide. There are New Mexico towns where people ask fewer questions. Over following weeks, they built something neither expected, home. Not conventional, but safety through shared effort. Levi hunted, Elena preserved meat with generational techniques. He built a defendable entrance. She created a garden plot for spring herbs. December snow came hard, sealing them in. On coldest nights, they shared body heat, learning each other's scars. His from bullets and bar fights, hers from thorns and casual cruelties of being deemed insufficient. One night, ice forming despite the fire, Elena spoke into darkness. I was wrong. You don't need to be fit to bear children or build something worth protecting. You already are what's worth protecting. Levi pulled her closer, her small frame fitting against his like puzzle pieces. Then, we protect each other. No matter how unwanted anyone thinks we are, we hold tight. We hold tight. Spring came late in 1878. When snow melted and traders appeared, they heard news. Jack Thornton arrested for cattle rustling. The men hunting Levi had bigger problems. In April, 2 travelers arrived at Fort Concho, a tall man with intelligent eyes and a small woman moving with quiet confidence. They registered as Levi and Elena Harper, married, starting a freight business. No one questioned them. No one looked close enough to see matching scars or how they watched each other's blind spots. They bought land where the Concho and Colorado rivers met, built a house with doors for a tall man and shelves for a small woman. When their daughter was born 2 years later, healthy, strong, 7 pounds, they named her Grace. Elena had been right. Being small taught strategy. Being rejected taught resilience. Being alone taught recognizing someone worth holding on to. And Levi learned strength had nothing to do with size, everything to do with choosing to stay when instinct screamed to run. When Grace asked how they met, they told simple truth. Your mother saved my life. I proved she was worth saving. Then we saved each other every day after. They'd been called unfit by people who couldn't see past measurements. They'd proven the measure of a person was their capacity to hold tight when everything told them to let go.